Welcome to Grace Community Church. We are very glad to have you all here. I am John Cook. As many of you know, Pastor Mike and Amy are out of town this weekend. They'll be back next Sunday, though, so you only have to put up with someone else for one more week. Patience. You can do this. So just do the best you can to not nod off. This service is not as bad. It's usually the second service where everybody is struggling. You know, I struggle myself at times. I don't know why. We're in this series right now called Greatest Hits, okay? And this is actually a series that Pastor Mike is going to return to periodically through the years. And this is where we're looking at these classic stories from the Bible that many of us have not heard perhaps since we were in Sunday school, or for us here, for those of you who grew up maybe in Kids Jam, you haven't heard these stories since then. And for a lot of us, we leave those stories in our past as kind of an elementary understanding of good and bad, right and wrong, God, the devil, all those things. But there's actually some profound things that we can gain from these stories that we have. So we're gonna come back to these periodically to look at these, to focus on them, to see the theology in them, and to hopefully learn and grow from them. If you have your Bibles this morning, you can go ahead and go to Genesis chapter 4. Again, many of these stories we remember from our childhood, and a lot of them have a lot of like bad stuff going on in them. Am I right? You know, Cain and Abel, what we're looking at today, of course. The flood, you know. a lot of badness surround these stories. And we may begin to lose sight of the purpose of that. Okay, here's something we have to realize, and we'll start with this very first thing this morning. The word gospel, the gospel word, the word for gospel in your Bible, literally means good news. Literally, good news, gospel. That's the Greek translation of the word. And it is the story of God's redemption of the world through the person and works of Jesus Christ. That is the gospel. That is the good news. And you can't have good news unless you have a bad situation to insert it into, correct? If everything's good and you keep just hearing it, nothing really is good in it. But if something gets bad, you know, if you're struggling through this medical process, through this health crisis, if you're struggling financially, and you hear some good news, that's good news. That's good news because you're in the bad. And the worse the bad is, the better the good is, right? So the more we can recognize the badness of this falling world, the more the good news of the gospel is going to impact on us. Because if you're like me, from time to time, you wake up and you have one of those days where something happens in your life, or something happens to your family, something happens in the world, and you just scratch your head and you're like, wow, this is a messed up place. Have any of you, by chance, thought at any point in time that the world is a messed up place? And I apologize, you're going to see me fumbling with this constantly. I think Pastor Mike has small ears, and it doesn't fit on mine quite as well. I know I talk about that every time. I have a large head. My mother, bless her heart. The world is bad. And we recognize it at times. We see things at times. Things happen in our life. And we're left with this gnawing in our spirit, in our soul. This emptiness is like, this is not right. All of humanity looks at the world and says, this is not right. There's something missing. There's something wrong. We have this gnawing inside of us for more, for understanding, to make sense of everything, to make sense of the bad that we see in the world, to make sense of the suffering, to make sense of all of these things that we can't understand fully. And we pursue that. And for us who follow Christ, we find our answers in Him. That is our hope. We understand that we can't understand everything, so we come to God in faith, through faith, and accept Him and His providence and His sovereignty, and we do the best we can with the information that we have at our disposal. At times, though, those outside of the church especially, that happened to me when I was a teenager, we began to try and explain things in a way that we can understand as human beings. Okay? And in the process of doing this, we do it not only for faith, but we do it with the other questions that we have in life. In the process of doing this, we begin to adopt these logical fallacies and these cognitive biases that really mess up the way we process the information at our disposal. You understand? We announced this last week, but December is going to be my last month working in this capacity. So this may be very well my last opportunity to share with you from this stage. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to take the liberty of nerding it up just a little bit this morning. Is everyone okay with that? Safe place here? Okay, I can do that? All right. What I want to do, I want to go through just briefly some common logical fallacies and cognitive biases we develop when it comes specifically to faith, which is the topic of our conversation this morning, but also to the other parts of our lives. You will recognize some of these. So your goal right now is, as I go through these, I want you to think, am I guilty of this? Have I ever been guilty of this? When am I guilty of this? And then we'll move on from that. We'll springboard into the next portion of this because we have to start here to recognize that oftentimes we're the ones who are messing things up. Okay, is that a surprise to anyone? No, we're the ones who are messing it up. So the first one I want to look at is called circular reasoning. Okay, circular reasoning is basically the argument restated rather than being proven. Okay, so if A is true, that makes B true. If B is true, then that must make A true. Okay, in the spirituality, this is the argument of God is not all good because bad things happen. Bad things happen because God is not all good. You don't actually try to understand the nature of God or bad things. You just make an assumption based on this circular reasoning. So that's one fallacy we have. Another is a hasty generalization. Okay, a hasty generalization is a common logical fallacy that's basing a conclusion on limited knowledge. Okay, an example of this would be a man drives through a town and he only sees children playing. So he assumes that the town is populated by only children. Right? That is a hasty generalization. For the spiritual world, an example may be there are many religions out there, so therefore there must be many paths to God. That's a hasty generalization. Another word that we have is a false dichotomy. This is a reasoning presenting 2 points while disregarding or ignoring others in order to narrow the outcome. So it's either all good or all bad. That's your only choice, false dichotomy. Now, I think we've seen this one recently. Either this guy is going to completely save us or this guy is going to completely destroy us. That's a false dichotomy. No, there's something else that's going to happen somewhere in between. False dichotomy. I thought you were a good person, but I found out you were a University of Florida fan. Too soon. I'm not always a good person, therefore I must not be favorable in the eyes of God. Okay, that's a false dichotomy we make in our faith. Another is a choice supportive bias. This is a common one. This is the tendency to defend oneself because it was one's choice. Okay, you defend your choice because you're the one who made the choice. I purchased an Apple instead of an Android. Therefore, I will overlook all of the issues with the Apple because I overpaid for a phone that does the same or less than an Android, and I'm trying to deal with this in my own way. So I'm going to ignore everything because I made the choice. Okay, I'm basically a good person, so this thing that I'm doing can't be all that bad, right? Because I'm a good person. That's a choice supportive bias. Another is a confirmation bias. This happens all the time, especially in relationships. A confirmation bias is only choosing facts supporting one's conclusion. Okay? If you are married, if you're in a relationship, you will encounter this often. How many of you have ever heard, you always or you never? Okay, that is a confirmation bias. You're only going to focus on the conclusion that you've already made in your mind. This guy's a bum, therefore I'm only going to see the bum things that he does. I'm not going to see the good things he does. Confirmation bias. In the spiritual world, see all those Christians with their own flaws and being exposed with their secrets. So Christians are no better than anyone else. Okay, that's the confirmation bias. Finally, we'll go to anchoring bias. I want to end here because I'm actually going to start from here when it comes to the story of Cain and Abel. Anchoring bias is basically the information you receive at first. You base your entire understanding on the subject on that information. Okay, an example of this is you go to a car lot and you see a sticker on a window of a car you like that says $30,000, and you go in and talk to the salesman. He's like, you know what? I'll sell it to you for 20. And you're like, wow, that's a great, great deal. Okay, what if the sticker was $15,000 and you go in and says, hey, I'll sell it to you for 20? It's the same price, right? It's just you have that anchoring bias of what you learned first is what you're going to base your other decisions on. Okay, for me especially, growing up as a child, I learned if you were good, God will bless you. If you were bad, God would smite you, right? That was my anchoring bias for understanding God. I actually found a video that actually supports this kind of well. I want to show you this video. A little warning, it starts off kind of loud, so don't be surprised when you hear that initial shock of loudness, okay? Let's watch this video and you'll see what I mean.
Tetris, master of blocks, weaver of fate. The time has come for another round.
Yes, how shall we begin, my lord?
L block.
L block, the perfect first piece.
We stand in awe of your eternal wisdom. Square.
Oh, as you wish, my lord.
Shall he nestle it into the bosom of the L block? Or will he leave it room to grow?
Reverse L block.
As you wish, my lord.
Difficult, my lord, but I believe this mortal can handle it.
T block.
Rather cunning, my lord. If this mortal is wise, he undershot it.
Squiggly.
My lord!
How dare you question his methods?
T block.
The playing field is random and jagged.
Square.
There is no place for a square, my lord, and it's only the first level.
Squiggly.
You wish to toy with him? To torture him for what?
Reverse squiggly.
The ultimate test of faith.
T block.
Only a master of dexterity could rotate a T-block in time.
It is done.
Reverse L block.
We've left a column open for the almighty Tetris.
Oh, another line piece, and his glory will shine upon us all.
Square.
Oh, here it comes.
T block.
Just one more moment.
T block.
No, he is punishing this mortal for his hubris.
Reverse squiggly.
Give him something, Lord.
Reverse L block.
Give him anything!
L block.
Oh, yes, of course, he could use that to plug the gap, but then the column would be
Unusable.
Line piece. No. Line piece.
Lord, you have forsaken us all.
Line piece.
What a cruel and angry God!
Line piece.
Any Tetris fan? Did you grow up playing Tetris? I feel your pain. Yeah, you endured that. Thou art a cruel and angry God. Of course, that's just silliness. But just to prove the point that we view God in certain ways. Many times, those ways are flawed. When I was a kid, God was this white-haired kind of mix between Santa Claus and somebody like Hulk Hogan. You know, if you were nice and good, he would bring you good things, but if you were bad, he would body slam you, right? Many of us have our understanding of a God established at a young age, and we never really grow out of these misunderstandings and misconceptions. We have this youthful faith that kind of follows us through our entire life. And where else do we do this except in our faith? Where else do we as adults have the same faith that we did as a child? I mean, our views on, the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus, we don't carry those into our adulthood, do we? Why would we do this in the area of our faith? This morning we're going to look at the story of Cain and Abel, like I said, and I'm willing to bet money, if I weren't in church, I'd be willing to bet money, that there are a lot of us who have never really recognized the importance and the profoundness of this story. I know I did not. I know that I, as a child, learning the story of Cain and Abel, I thought it meant this, but as an adult, as I've studied it more, I'm like, wow, that's pretty profound. So if you have your Bible, follow along, Genesis chapter 4. We're going to begin reading this story of Cain and Abel. So Genesis chapter 4, beginning in verse 1. Adam made love to his wife Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. She said, "With the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man." Later, she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel kept flocks and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord, and Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." Now Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let's go out into the field." And while they're in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" "I don't know," he replied. "Am I my brother's keeper?" I want to pause here for just a moment, okay? Am I my brother's keeper? This is something that has kind of rattled around in my brain for many, many years. Am I my brother? Are you your brother's keeper? Are you? In sixth grade, I got in a fight with Michael Davis. We're on a school bus coming back from somewhere. He elbowed me in the eye. Okay, so we got back to school and we went to the principal's office, and I explained to the principal that, he elbowed me in the eye. And so the principal wound up giving him a paddling, and I was able to sit back and watch with great pleasure. But Michael's defense, he said that I started it, that I had somehow instigated the whole ordeal. And I was shocked. I was as shocked as you were. I was like, how dare you, sir? How dare you accuse me of instigating your violence and wrath upon me? I am shocked and offended, good sir. But I knew that I had, right? Was I responsible for his actions? No, maybe. Parents, you have kids, you see this all the time, okay? Yeah, the reason your brother punched you is because you hadn't stopped messing with him for the last hour, okay? That's kind of on you, okay? Am I my brother's keeper? No, but you understand you have a responsibility, right? When Cain said, "Well, God, am I my brother's keeper?" was that not some admission of guilt in that statement? Is that not a response that we would use to kind of hide a bit of guilt that we have? No, you're not your brother's keeper, but you are responsible. You have a responsibility for your brother's actions. And we're not just talking about siblings, right? We're not talking about family members. We're talking about the people that you encounter in your life. We're talking about the people you encounter at work, the people you encounter online, the people that you encounter in your life. You have a responsibility before God to act in such a way that you're not causing them to have a reason to act a certain way. Question: have any of you watched the news in the last week? Following any current events at all? No. There's a little bit of anger going on, is there not? A little bit of hatred. Has anybody seen that? Is it just me? No. Yeah, you've seen it. Are you your brother's keeper? No, but Jesus tells us, "Blessed are the peacemakers." Am I right? This anger, this hatred that we are currently dealing with right now, I know many of you in this room at this very moment have had it up to here with the other side. You're just done with them. You're angry. You're angry. Who wants us to feel this way? Who wants us to have this hatred toward each other? Is it God? No, it's not God. God doesn't want us to hate. God says, anger can be a good thing, but in your anger, do not sin. Okay, there's a healthy way of processing anger and of dealing with anger. It's not giving in to hatred. The ones who want us to hate are our enemies. And not just enemies on this planet, of course. I mean, Russia and China and Iran, they're just laughing their heads off right now watching us. This is fun to them. We're destroying ourselves from hatred, and they love it. But it's not just them, it is the enemy. The supernatural enemy, Satan, who wants us to be divided and to have hatred. He is the one who is pushing this. Our battle is not against flesh and blood. Okay, that person that you would disagree with, you're misdirecting your anger if you're angry at them. If you have hatred toward them, you're misdirecting it. That is allowing the enemy to have what they want. Instead, God says, Jesus says, blessed are the peacemakers. Now, he's not saying don't be angry. Okay, because the only way, one of the only ways that we can make a difference in the world is through the fuel that our emotions give us. So you can use that in a healthy way. I get angry at my children sometimes because of their behavior. Okay, I don't haul off and start smacking them. I use that anger to try and figure out a good way of changing that behavior. Okay, so we don't give in to this hate. Don't give in to this hate that's going on right now. Are you your brother's keeper? No, but blessed are the peacemakers. Okay? Okay, end parenthetical statement. Back to reading. Abel says, am I my brother's keeper? The Lord said, what have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth. Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on earth, and whoever finds me will kill me. But the Lord said to him, not so. Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over. Then the Lord put a mark on Cain so that no one who found him would kill him. So Cain went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. All right, so the moral of the story. Don't kill your brother if you get angry at him. I mean, Cain, come on, put some effort into it. Just because God doesn't like broccoli, put some cheese on it. Do something like that. No, of course, that is not the moral. Here's the big point. Here's the big point of this. The big point for our entire discussion this morning. So if you're going to listen at any moment in time today, listen to the next statement. All right? The big point. Cain did not have an adequate understanding of sin, so his offering was inadequate. Okay, Cain did not have an adequate understanding of sin, so his offering was inadequate. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what happens in the story. Okay, what happens in the story is Cain and Abel both make an offering to God. Now, this is the first recorded time in the Bible that a man makes an offering to God, and we don't know exactly the context of why he is making that offering. What we have to assume, based on everything else in the Bible and what we know about God and God's character and God's request for us, is that God most likely gave this same command to Adam and Eve to periodically make an offering for their sin, and Adam and Eve passed that down onto their children, so Cain and Abel periodically made an offering to God for their sin. Okay, what was the point of the offering there? That's the key thing. What was the point of the offering? And we can actually find the point of the offering in God's response to Cain. Let's look at this verse. Then the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, you will not be accepted. But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Let's leave this up here for just a moment. Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you. Does this sound like an angry and vengeful God? No, this sounds like a God with a deep concern for his creation, for Cain, for Cain's soul. God is telling Cain, look, be careful. Be careful. I want you to understand the nature of sin. I want you to understand the nature of what you're dealing with. And the reason I'm asking you to make an offering, sin will consume you, Cain. It will drive you to do things that you have no idea you are capable of doing. Ultimately, it did. It drove Cain to murder his brother. And God is warning him. He's saying, Cain, be aware of sin in your life. Be aware of sin. But Cain did not have an adequate understanding. Sure, he went through the motions of making an offering to God, but God didn't accept it because he was doing it for the wrong reasons. He didn't have an understanding of why God was even asking him in the first place. That's why Abel's offering was accepted by God, because Abel understood what the offering meant. So what we have here is what we deal with today in the world in religion. Okay, we have the religion of Cain going through the motions, and we have the faith of Abel, which is accepted by God. And it all hinges on the understanding of sin and our sin nature. If we go through the motions to try and appease a deity through religion, then we miss the whole point of the offering in the first place. It's because of the sin. We have to recognize that we are a fallen creation. We are prone to sin, and there's nothing we can do over here to earn the favor of God. We have to approach God through faith. And yet we do this over and over and over and over, and it's understandable why. We're humans. We want to understand things. We want everything to fit in a nice, tidy box. It makes us uncomfortable when we don't know the answer. Did you know that anger, most often, like 99.9999% of the time, comes from one of two different places? Okay, it comes from hurt or it comes from fear. Either you have been hurt personally, your pride has been hurt, you have failed in some way, and you're hurt because of that, and it turns into anger. Or you fear. You fear the unknown. You fear what's going to happen. You fear the outcome of this, and that can manifest itself as anger. Okay, so if someone in your family, someone in your home is dealing with anger, is struggling with anger, look for where they've been hurt or look for what they're afraid of, okay? And most often you'll find the root of their anger. So we create these things because we want to understand. We have a fear in us of how things are going to work out. We have a fear that if we do, Mr. Preacher Man, what you're telling me to do, I'm not going to be in control of my life. I fear the outcome. I trust better my self-sovereignty. I know me better than God knows me. I trust what I can do. Okay? I don't fully trust what God will do. So we come up with these religions. We come up with these religions where we replace the faith with an action, with a process, with emotion, with something that we go through to take the place of God and of faith. And there's a few ways that we do this. I want to focus on 4 of these ways that we do this. And kind of process this in your mind, because we're all guilty to some degree of one of these processes. Okay, we're going to call this the 4 religions of our life, the 4 religions of humanity. You have religion number 1, religion of self. We turn to ourself to satisfy ourself. Okay, so remember, we're substituting an adequate understanding of faith, an adequate understanding of sin, of recognizing that there's nothing that I can do to ever earn God's favor. I am a broken person. I am a sinner by default. Okay, and it's only through the saving work of Jesus Christ that I ever have a prayer of being able to be in a right standing with God. Okay, we're substituting all of that for this, the religion of self. We convince ourselves that a better version of us is going to solve our problems. We do that, right? You've convinced yourself that in 10 years, I'm going to be a better version of who I am right now. Okay? I know how to get there because I've lived with me long enough to know what I need to do. I know I need to eat right, and I know I need to exercise, and I know I need to watch my money, and I know I need to not do this. So, I'm on this neat diet plan that Adele is doing. I read about it, and I'm going to a gym now 2 or 3 times a week. And I'm working toward that promotion. I'm going to have that money. I'm paying off those credit cards. So in 10 years, I'm going to be ripped, cash falling out of my pockets. It's going to be amazing. Okay, a future. 5 years ago, you had a version of your future self, right? How'd you do on that? Not too good, right? And the reason I know that is because I know that. I know how humans are. Here's the crazy thing. You will be hard-pressed to find anyone who has lied to you and disappointed you more than you have. And yet, we applaud our own sovereignty. We focus on, I know what to do, I know how to get there, I can do it. So that's the number one way we substitute. Another that we do is the religion of others, where we turn to others to satisfy ourselves. Since we cannot satisfy the longing we have, this gnawing, this emptiness that we have, we believe that finding a relationship will satisfy that. Now, most often this is done subconsciously. Most often we're not going around saying, oh, I need to have a kid because I know that will fulfill me, or I need to have a new person in my life because I know that will fulfill. But we're doing that. We're really doing that. We're putting the responsibility for our happiness, for our joy, for our contentment, we're putting that on someone else. And everyone here knows someone that does that. And someone here actually does that. I don't know who. I'm just guessing based on the numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I believe that's true. We put the responsibility for happiness on someone else. And whether it's a spouse, whether it's a boyfriend, whether it's a girlfriend, whether it's a child, whether it is an actual friend, okay, we're looking for them to satisfy that stuff, that missing part of our soul that we're longing to have. Now, listen, I love my wife. My wife loves me, okay? I'm a pretty darn good husband, to be honest with you, I think. You know, I've seen a lot of you dudes. I measure up pretty good, I feel. And my wife loves me. You know, I make her laugh sometimes. I take care of her needs. I try desperately to take care of her needs. I want her to feel like she's fulfilled in our relationship. And I've got brownie points, guys, like you wouldn't believe. I got a bank full of brownie points, okay? My wife does not worship me. I make a lousy God. I make a lousy substitute for God. She will not find what she needs in her life through me. I know that. She knows that. All of you know that. Okay? You're sitting there like, yeah, I know you too, dude. Yeah, it's not going to work out for her. Bless her heart. Bless her heart. That little southern, not too good. I would make a terrible God if you put your expectations into others to fulfill that that emptiness that you have, that desire, that gnawing in the pit of your stomach for more. If you put that into others, you're always, they're going to come up short. Men make terrible gods. Women make terrible gods. Children, don't even get me started on children. The next one, religion of the world. Religion of the world. Okay, the stuff the world can provide can bring me contentment and happiness. I'm going to turn to the world to find my fulfillment. Okay, again, apart from faith, apart from authentic faith, apart from submitting my life to God, apart from pursuing Christianity, apart from that, I am going to pursue the world and the stuff in the world. Isn't it interesting how new stuff makes us feel better? Like if you get a new car, you feel like a better human being. I don't know what it is about stuff. Or you've got this new outfit and you walk in and like you're working it. I mean, you look good and you feel like a better human being. I'm a better person because of this stuff. It's odd how that happens. It's odd how stuff in the world has such an impact on us. Now, you're the same person that you've ever been. It's just with that new car, you're the same person with more debt. Okay, you're no different. You're just the same person. It's all temporary. Everything that you have, of course we know this, all of your stuff, all of your gadgets are eventually going to be thrown away into a massive landfill with other people's stuff and gadgets. It's all temporary. So if the nature of stuff is temporary, why do we not recognize that the nature of the feeling we get from stuff is temporary? Of course we know this, but we still keep doing this thing. This same thing over and over and over again. We find a new toy. We find a new thing that we need. It's a new house. It's a new something we need. Stuff. But there's another way that we turn to the world and what we find in the world to fulfill us. There's a topic that we use in theology called common graces. Okay, these common graces are things designed by God, given to humanity, whether you have faith or not, whether you believe in God or not, you have access to these things. Okay, food. Food is a common grace. This is a gift from God that anyone can enjoy. It is good. Okay, wine can be considered a common grace. Now, some of us have no, you know who you are. You just need to stay away from it, of course. You've had your struggles in the past, but it's called a common grace. Anyone on the world, whether you believe in God or not, could enjoy that. Sex is a common grace, okay? Anyone on the planet can enjoy that, whether they are a believer or not. But what happens when you begin to use food for fulfillment and comfort? What happens when you begin to use wine for fulfillment and comfort? What happens when you begin to use sex for fulfillment and comfort? I mean, these are rhetorical questions. I don't need an answer. We know what happens when we make these other things our God. Nothing fulfills. You're still going to maintain that knot. And the final thing that I want to look at, the religion that we substitute, is the religion of religion, okay? Which is similar to the very first one, religion of self, but religion of religion says that I can go through all the steps, I can go through all the processes, I know I can clean my life up good enough to be accepted by God. So I am going to memorize half the Bible, and I am never going to smoke, drink, cuss, do anything like that. I'm always going to dot all of the I's and cross all of the T's, and I will follow all the rules. And one day when I get to God, He's going to say, wow, I am impressed. Come hang out with me. Okay, this religion, this going through the motions. But that's what Cain did in the beginning. Cain went through the motions. Cain made the offerings. God didn't accept his sacrifice, his offering. Why? Because he didn't have an adequate understanding of why he was doing it in the first place. He never would embrace it. We're living in a culture, guys, that's just angry, right? We're angry with authority. We're angry that there are people who don't agree with us who are going to be telling us what to do. That makes us angry. And a lot of times we can take and misdirect that anger. We can be angry toward God in a way. We can fear what a life submitted to God is going to lead to. We don't want God to ask us to do something that we don't want to do, right? So we picture this God as being this vengeful, angry God just trying to stamp the fun out of my life, okay? Because He's going to ask me to do something I don't want to do. And it's going to make Him a terrible God. Question for you, if you live in a 2-story house and you've got a toddler, and you put one of those fences at the top of the steps leading up to the second story to keep that toddler from plummeting to their death, okay? Are you a bad parent? No. You're a good parent. You would be a bad parent if you did not put that barrier in place. It's the same with God. God is never going to ask us to do something to seek some pleasure that He gets. The reason He wants us to do the things that He asks us to do is because He loves us, because He cares for us, because He wants the best for us. We are His creation. We are His children. He wants the best for us. So He puts these parameters in our lives and these barriers in our lives to guard us. And he encourages us lovingly, be careful. Sin is crouching. I don't want it to consume you. So I'm putting this barrier in your life to protect you, to guard you. So let's not shake our fist at God on the inside when we're worried about committing our lives to Him and that He's going to ask us to do something that we don't want to do. Isaiah chapter 55. Beginning in verse 8 says, God is saying, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declared the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. We don't know God. We can't understand God. All we can do is come to Him trusting in faith that He loves us, that He knows what's best for us. So then we make our offering back to Him in response to that. The religion of Cain attempts to approach God with human understanding. with an inadequate understanding of sin. The faith of Abel approaches God through faith, with an adequate understanding of sin, and with an offering of their life. Romans 12:1 says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice." So what do we choose today? The religion of Cain or the faith of Abel? Would you pray with me? And Father, we thank you for today. We're grateful, God, that you would make a way for us to be in right standing with you in spite of who we are. God, I understand my fallenness. The older I get, the more keenly I recognize it, and I understand the need that I have for a Savior, not just someone who can brush off the rough edges. God, I'm broken and I need you, and I pray that we all begin to understand this more clearly, that we need you in our lives, and you're never going to ask us to do something from an approach of malice or anger. God, you're loving, you're kind, you're just, you're fair. Help us to offer you that faith. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. Have a great week.